No dig is the single biggest revolution in recent gardening history, and in this video I want to give you a concise but informative snapshot into this incredible growing technique. The goal of no dig is simple, and that's to disturb the soil in the least possible way. This means no forks unless you're really trying to get out a massive parsnip.
Wow.
And also no spades. Instead of digging or mixing organic matter into the soil, it is simply laid over the top. Popular gardening no-dig techniques include Ruth Stout's hay mulch, Paul Gauchi's back to Eden method, and of course the compost method of no-dig, which from my research was initially pioneered by F.C. King, author of Gardening with Compost in 1944, and also Albert Guest, author of Gardening Without Digging in 1948. However, Charles Dowding is the most recent pioneer, and thanks to his work, the popularity of no-dig compost has surged into the gardening mainstream. For wetter climates like here in the UK, compost is the go-to medium of choice because things like hay mulch are definitely a slug magnet. But that being said, I haven't actually had any serious slug problems or issues with wood chip, but that is for another video. The goal is to annually apply an approximately 3 centimetre layer of compost over the surface of raised beds. Some gardeners do a little less, others do a little more. Now, the usual times for doing this is kind of mid to late autumn when much of the garden is starting to empty. Also kind of a month before the start of the growing season. And if you can't do that, you can actually apply it any time when most convenient. There's a huge range of benefits when it comes to no dig. One of the best ones, of course, is time saving, because all you're doing is spreading organic material over the surface. And because you're building up layers of organic matter, you're also helping to improve drought resilience by capturing more water and reducing evaporation. A huge benefit of no dig is a great reduction in weed numbers. If you ever see a weed, you can either just pull it out there and then, or very lightly hoe the surface of the soil, being careful to not go too deep. And honestly, the lack of weeds alone makes no dig worth it for me. No dig also leads to cleaner harvest, which is a real blessing because you're not having to spend ages scrubbing off mud-coated carrots or other root vegetables. No dig allows you to maintain a really good soil structure, and by doing this you're allowing the microbes and fungi to do what they do best, which is decomposition and making nutrients plant available. I will do a soil health explained in 5 minutes later in autumn, but what I will say is that plant roots actually have a limited surface area in which they can uptake and absorb nutrients. Many of the nutrients in the soil are not plant available. So bacteria actually help the digestive function of plants by surrounding their roots and then breaking down larger molecules into smaller molecules that the plants can then uptake and absorb. For many plants, fungi offer the opportunity to extend their root system, and fungi do this by sending out their hyphae into much smaller gaps in the soil to reach nutrients and water that plant roots are simply too big to reach. And so fungi form a mutually beneficial relationship with plant roots where a nutrient trade exchange happens. And what plants do is they actually send out simple sugars from photosynthesis and other root exudates out into the soil, both to trade with fungi but also with bacteria, because bacteria, their main food source are simple sugars. So you can see that plant health is synonymous with soil health. By not digging, you're allowing plants and soil life to work together in harmony. But as soon as you damage the soil from digging or forking it, suddenly this collaboration falls apart and plants suddenly become a lot more reliant on things like fertilizers, excessive amounts of compost, and then things like pesticides. The other thing about no dig is that you're allowing all the tunnels created by earthworms to stay intact, and these tunnels provide a great passageway for water and oxygen, but also for fungal hyphae and plant roots to travel down and make the most of all of the nutrient-rich castings left behind by these great little guys. As with everything, there's always going to be downsides. And the biggest downside for no dig is that first year, just because you'll need extra amount of composted material. So for these new beds, we used a 10 centimetre layer when they were brand new of compost, which is a more premium product than something like manure, which you can dig or fork in over winter. If you're wanting to transition your beds into no dig, the first year you'll need around a 5 to 7 centimetre layer. That being said, once the no-dig beds have been established, it's a myth that no-dig requires more compost than traditional methods. Very often it's the same amount, in some cases it's actually less compost needed. And I think we have to be honest here, whether we're digging or not digging, it's really hard to make enough compost without having to bring in external supplies. I don't think the true potential of no-dig has yet been realised. For example, I think that there's a big future and a big space for wood chip to play an essential role in the future of no-dig here in the UK. And the other thing is, I think we should experiment more with applying 2 smaller applications a year rather than 1 bigger application in one go. And the other great thing about no-dig is you can supplement it with other methods that promote plant and soil health. For example, chop and drop, Korean natural farming, and also green manures that can be hoed off. And if you want to find out more about this, then watch this video here about why I'm moving beyond no-dig vegetable gardening.